Hey.
What up?
Welcome back to another episode of Insert Subject here.
Yeah.
I'm Makia.
I'm Ant.
And you probably are noticing something a little different with me right now. So I'm just fresh off of shooting a video for one of my friends, Ty. We'll show that video later for her birthday. And so I have this beat and this hair.
This the beat.
I'm so not used to it all. So I figure why waste it? So hello.
There we go.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. How you feeling this week?
I'm good. I'm good. It was a lot of stuff that has transpired. It's just a lot, and I think it's all over the place. Oddly enough, I meant to say it last week. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Columbia University professor that says he's a functioning heroin addict.
I did hear about
Professor Carl Hart, and so therapy just wasn't an option. It was just, let's just jump straight to heroin.
So it wasn't a gateway drug before?
I guess I'm just, maybe I'm naive to being a professor because I'm not a scholar, but he said it was an experiment, which led to him using heroin on a regular basis. And he's still a professor of neuroscience and psychology.
And they still letting him work?
He still has a job. And he's black.
Well, what we can say is they didn't discriminate.
They didn't discriminate. He just so straight to heroin.
Oh.
Just a lot. And then
Did he say why he experimented with it?
So I read the article and I thought it was a joke. And then he was on I think it was The Breakfast Club, and I was like, no, he's really, and I didn't watch the interview, but I'm like, he's really out here like I'm a functioning heroin addict. He said it helps him cope. I did read that. I
had some professors that I thought might have been on something, especially when they was late to class repeatedly.
Yeah.
I would never
He
think.
admitted it at the famed Columbia University. Also, last night I went on Bleacher Report, and they had a 2-on-2 basketball game. It was 2 Chainz and Lil Baby versus Quavo and Jack Harlow, and yeah, I stopped watching. I think they had been playing for like 10 or 15 minutes, and the score was still 0-0. It left a lot to be desired.
I guess they just said, "Well, y'all going back in the house, still in the house. Let's try this.
Let's shoot some shots." Literally. Yikes! So that was like it was just that was a lot. That was a lot. I think the heroin professor just has been sitting heavy on my heart for a while.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that.
You and me both.
Well, all right. So this week's episode, we want to share 2 things that we watched. The first was the documentary Supervillain.
Supervillain.
And it was about Tekashi 6ix9ine.
It's Tekashi Snitch 9. I'm with the kids. Tekashi Snitch 9.
And I didn't know about him until he was on The Breakfast Club. And I love the way people splice together his interview. And, then shortly after he got arrested, and then shortly after that, like very shortly after that, he snitched. So what I liked about this documentary Supervillain is it showed his backstory.
Yes, I concur. It wasn't, he is not what I thought he was, but he is everything I thought he was.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the weird thing. Like, he's not the gangster I thought he was. He's the pretender I thought he was.
Yeah, and what was very interesting. Now,
Spoiler alert. We're going to talk about it, so.
Yeah. So if you don't want to know too much.
Fast forward, skip, come back later.
Now, I'm not, and I think you're not either, a Tekashi Snitch 9 fan.
At all.
But
Nothing makes sense.
I can appreciate a good documentary because I'm really into cinematography and how they put stories and stuff together. So I watch the whole gamut of documentaries, and I'll always bring Anthony in, like, oh, you gotta see this with me. So I like the progression that they took with how he became what they classify in this documentary as a supervillain. Yes. Because he started out as just your regular schmegular kid. And then events took a turn in his life.
Puberty hit.
And then he went through the period where he just wanted to get viral hits. He just wanted likes. And he kept chasing that feeling. To me, if I'm capturing this correctly, he just kept chasing that. I want more views, more views, more views. And he was doing some very extreme and quite line-tittering and line overstepping things just for likes. And that's
likes
what
and views.
So many kids and even people, because now with Gorilla Glue Girl, everybody's doing like the Gorilla Glue challenge now.
Jessica, man, she ain't did nothing wrong, but try to keep her hand in place.
Which you gotta kind of research that, because there may be some more to that, but we'll get into that another time. But it was very interesting how they took him, and it's visually striking.
Yes, it is. I will say that. The cinematography.
Yes.
I ain't stumble over it this time. The cinematography is amazing. The story is not the typical Tekashi 6ix9ine story. Like I've been fascinated with the case, so I listened to the podcast that was on one of the streaming services. I listened to all of that, but this wasn't that. This was more. This is his story, and it felt like the label may have had something to do with it, but it wasn't to paint him in a perfect light. Like, I didn't come away from this thinking, oh, woe is him.
Right.
I came away from this thinking like, yo, he's a industry plant, and he misappropriated our culture because he wanted to be a rock star.
He did. He prefers heavy metal.
He didn't listen to rap. He listens to rock music, heavy metal. And then when you look at the videos, I'd never seen him until the documentary. When you look at the videos of his past, they were rock videos.
Exactly. And even when they showed snippets of his concerts,
it's a rock show.
It's a whole sea of light people. And he's running around in his drawers and throwing himself out into
stage diving and being silly. And it was a lot.
And it also showed how he used Treyway. I hope I'm saying this correctly.
Yes.
The Treyway gang to back him and to allow him to have that security and safety to be able to speak recklessly.
Like it goes so in depth to the point where I didn't know he wasn't a gang member. And we also didn't know that the gang wasn't here for him pretending to be a gang member. So it was one of those things where this documentary was, I told Micaiah, my take was his label got behind this because apparently the music ain't gonna make back that $10 million that they gave him in advance. So this documentary is what they put out to say, hey, this is who this guy really is.
Right.
Watch this so we can make our money back, because it was not a good light. Like, it showed how he split the gang members against each other, and then it showed how he really just went to working with the federal government to get himself off. And I mean, he told on everybody.
And they said it wasn't even 24 hours later. He was singing like a bird.
Like they said, if you watch it, you got to watch it. It's still worth watching. He, like, if they picked him up at 8 o'clock on the 18th, on the 19th, he had a deal.
Yes. And the way it ends is he is alone and he is surrounded by security, which he did all of this for likes and money and views, and he wanted to be accepted, and now he's all alone. And I love the way that they ended it, because you got exactly what you wanted, but what you got isn't really what you thought you wanted. And so he's in a pool somewhere in some country or some area, and he's like, by the time you screenshot and figure out where I am, I'll be gone. And he's just in this pool alone. And we are looking at people like, oh, they're doing all of this and this is great and I want to top them and be like them and be better than them. But what you don't realize is, and we as a culture are fueling this because, and this is what the documentary says.
It's definitely our fault.
It's our fault because we keep liking and viewing, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do next. And this goes even into other influencers that are doing some really graphic things. And now he has to live his life in pretty much secrecy.
But he got what he wanted.
What he wanted.
He's famous. He has the notoriety. I thought it interesting that his stunt that he pulled on Meek Mill didn't go far. Like it didn't make it through a week's news cycle. And it didn't make it through the week's news cycle because I think people are over it. Like, the trolling was cool in the beginning, but now that you know he's not who he pretended to be, is it really trolling? Like, I understand you're just showing up to make a moment now, because you ain't gonna do nothing to Meek Mill.
Exactly. But he wanted to do something to Lil Nas X.
Yeah, he was in them inboxes. Listen.
He ain't got that rainbow hair for nothing.
Oh, baby.
I'm just saying.
The little Tekashi.
Oh,
Yo shot. Like, I don't know if y'all saw that. Yo shot his shot. He legit shot his shot at Lil Nas X. I am appalled by that.
He was trying to get 6 to 9 inches, is what it seems like to me. But anyway, so.
Mercy.
Moving on. And so then we watched Coming to America 2.
33 years later.
Now, Coming to America is one of my favorite movies.
Absolutely.
It's a genuine classic. I even like when Busta Rhymes did the video with the
Yeah.
I even love the Halloween costumes.
Yes.
I love the Coming to America themed birthday parties. I love the Coming to America themed proms. Like I was like, I love it.
Joffer.
But to me, Coming to America was like Harlem Nights. You can't, you just shouldn't touch it.
You shouldn't touch it. I think that was one you just should have left alone.
I agree. But I tried to go into this open-mindedly because...
And I did go into it open-mindedly.
And yeah, you did. Because I figured it was like... For me, it was like Friday. Like, I thought nothing could top Friday.
Yeah.
I thought Chris Tucker and Ice Cube, like, this is it. And when I heard that they were replacing Chris Tucker with Mike Epps, I was like, But then it was good.
Was it. Yeah.
He was good.
Yeah.
And then I was like, they can't do anything better than this. And then you introduce Money Mike and all of them. And I was like, so because of that, I said, maybe. Then I heard the premise that he had a son. And, of course, we've watched the movie thousands of times. Never did he lay with any other American. So...
You knew they were going to force it, though.
Yes.
I think when the son issue came up is when... I'm not going to say I knew I always wanted to watch the movie. Mm-hmm. But when the son issue came up, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a good sequel. Now... I still have my stance, and as we'll go further, but I still have my stance. I didn't like it as a sequel.
Okay.
I think they could have built it and approached it as a remake, and it would have went across better to me.
And see, I think that again is something you can't remake because the chemistry and all of that was just what it was. Yeah. So to me, it felt like a ripped off, spoofed version of itself. Like it really did. And I didn't think it was horrible, but I wouldn't have paid to go to the movie theater to see this and been happy once I left.
Yeah.
So it was another story about arranged marriage, which the first one was...
Which was the first one.
Prince Akeem rebelling against arranged marriage, but then you try to push your son into doing it, which didn't make sense to me. And I have to say, when I get bored with a movie, I start picking it apart because I'm just not...
pick it apart, she did.
I'm not invested into it at that point. So I started noticing things like... They done put a crown on these babies, his kids. That's on a headband. I was like, this is what y'all are really doing with a sequel? And
the earpiece, the Tiana Taylor's performance, she had a whole ear mic, and I was just like,
yes,
for what? Like, all right,
yes.
I don't even know where that came from.
It just really gave me a lot of rip-off Black Panther vibes. And one of our friends, Micaiah, coined it perfectly. She was like, coming to Wakanda. Because that is exactly what it felt like.
I was talking today to Micaiah and Dame said, and I wanted to quote him because it was good what he said. He said it felt like a mix of Black Panther, The Wiz, and a Tyler Perry movie.
I totally get that.
He said you mushed them three together, and I understood it. However, I still take the stance. I was entertained.
It was entertaining.
I was entertained, and I laughed at points that the kid was just looking at me like, because Uncle Reem was funny.
I mean, and it was some stuff that tittered me. Like, I'm sorry, Wesley Snipes' character, his like
I still hate it. but I understand it was memeable. Like, he is now officially a meme for that. So I get the movie was for the culture. The movie was for a different generation who didn't see the first one. The movie was a more modern take on the same old movie. But for me, the old movie was enough.
It was. The one thing that I loved was how they brought pretty much everybody back, even though I was so mad that Randy Watson gave me Rasputia vibes. It was like Eddie Murphy has gotten so caught up into his characters that they all just start to blend together. A few things that I was really wish they would have explored more is what happened to Akeem's mom, because she wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, and they kind of like in one of the things, spoiler alert. We're going to talk about it. Fast forward in the scene where he went to the McDowell's. They kind of like, what would your mother say? And it was almost like they forced that line in there to me. So that was kind of weird. And I forgot to look up whether she had passed or not. But. Yeah,
and also the Queen's sister. You know, when she came in dancing and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because she liked Akeem first. So they didn't even mention her.
Like, she wasn't even there.
No, which was weird to me. I just wished they would have explored that more. And fun fact.
So you wanted all the characters back.
I mean, or at least explain them.
Okay.
But fun fact, while we were on a cruise, we went to a comedy show. And the lady that was... I was Joan of Arc in my former life. We saw her.
She was.
And she was hilarious. She was hilarious.
She definitely was hilarious.
Getting back onto it. It was okay. And what I find is people are getting into these debates on social media about the movie. And they're like, it's black excellence. And I'm like, yeah, but just because you plant black onto the front of something doesn't mean we gotta like it just because it's black.
I think the back and forth I saw about it being like, you stupid if you didn't enjoy it. Sometimes you just don't enjoy a movie. Like, the movie taste is subjective.
Very much.
So I didn't love the movie. Was I entertained? I was entertained. I will not take away from the fact that I was entertained. However, coming to America in 1988 was ahead of its time.
It was.
So that's why even today I can still watch it and laugh. It was way ahead of its time. So it's enough for me. This was good. It just had the moments that were bad to me were just really bad. The acting of Jermaine Fowler, shout out to the kid that played his son, left a lot to be desired.
And I hated his wardrobe. Like, y'all could have did something else. We're not still wearing holes at our knees.
Yeah.
We're not still walking around with big bad plaid shirts and stuff on. Like, I didn't know where they were going with the whole wardrobe. It was just trying too much in those areas. I didn't like his hair.
His hair was horrible. He went from a bush to them giving him this long ponytail thing. Like, come on.
And it was three little, like...
And again, I'm not nitpicking because I didn't like it. I enjoyed the movie. However, I think that was stupid. I feel like they dropped the ball on Rotimi. He should have had a much bigger role. As a matter of fact, the take I had today is he should have been Prince Akeem's son.
Yes.
But he was probably a little too light to make it realistic to match with Leslie Jones. But I think he would have given a little more depth to the character because he could act better. Because he did the little Nigerian butterscotch. He could have did his thing a little bit better in this movie to me as the son.
I agree.
But, you know, like the scene where Yo broke out with the microphone and was performing with Tiana, I was just like, yeah, I don't even know where y'all going with this.
Yeah. It was a very
I didn't even like his rap.
No, I didn't. And I didn't like the ripoff Lizzo flute twerk part that they put in there. And I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer because there were some things that I really did like. I really did like the cameos. I really did like that they brought people back.
Bringing people back was probably the best part of the movie.
That was. But everything else was predictable. You knew the father was going to
predict it.
Die at the funeral. You knew it was going to be a Wakanda-style battle.
When the father said, I wanted to do my funeral now, I was like, if he died this funeral, and then he was like, I'm going to die now, Akeem.
So we're leaving on that midnight train from Zamunda. And I was like, what is the point of bringing...
What a king, what a king, what a king, what a mighty good king.
I was like, what is the point?
That was cheesy.
So those factors kind of brought it down because we didn't even watch the movie in one sitting. We stopped.
Yeah, we did stop.
Went and did some stuff because it just wasn't keeping my attention. But it is... I would recommend seeing it only because it's free if you got Amazon Prime. But
I would recommend seeing it because I think it is. It's a modernized version. The sponsors in that joint.
oh my gosh,
Listen,
they had so many.
I said it had to be. They had all these sponsors to pay for the characters in the movie because they weren't putting in the movie there to make the money. So they had a sponsor. Fashion Nova and Pepsi had prime placing in the movie.
Then they mentioned Ciroc.
Ciroc was in it. Like they did it.
It was a couple different things in Nextorian.
Even shout out to the homie, the boss, Rick Ross. Oh, he had a little cameo because they shot at his house. Did y'all know they shot at his house?
Yeah, they had shake
Zamunda
weights.
was Rick Ross's actual house in Atlanta. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was dope. And the shake
They
weights.
did have shake weights. So at that scene, I ain't gonna front. I thought Terry. I hate you. I thought Terry Crews was gonna pop out.
Yeah.
Because it gave me the blended vibe.
When one person loves another. Yeah, I could.
I thought he was gonna pop
But you
up.
know, Terry Crews, I think counts cancel culture. Canceled him. I said it slowly.
Cancel.
I said it slowly, so you can't taunt me. But yeah, I don't think we bang with him too much.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, it was a decent enough movie.
I
would give it a 4 out of 10.
I was entertained. I wouldn't give it that low because I was still entertained. It was about a 6, but I feel like of Eddie Murphy's Sure Enough hits, Coming to America was one.
Absolutely.
Coming to America was one. Harlem Nights was one. Like he had some sure enough
Life.
hits. Life. So for this to come, and his acting wasn't he wasn't as energized. It just was different. It was different.
It seemed like they put it out because they were like, we said we were going to do it, so let's just do it.
And I appreciate the fact that it led to, like, I looked on my timeline and it led to a lot of younger people saying, I never saw part 1, let's watch part 1. So I think when you watch the two together, you'll get the contrast of it and you'll see, like, younger kids might not understand the old one, but that's our joint. That's like, even the scene where he was in the McDowell's and the people were on their knees.
Yeah.
It was weird. My goodness, my king, it is you. It didn't have the same effect.
It didn't.
As the old one. But it was a good movie. I would recommend everybody check it out at least once. I said I'm going to go back and watch it again to see if it changes for me. It might be I watch it a second time and I like it more. I don't know. So it's worth giving it a shot.
Well, all right. So, Anthony, what do you have for us today?
Can I slide in one thing before I give it to you?
All right.
I recommend another one. And when I'm not going to go into depth. I can't give it away. I can't spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. Behind Her Eyes on Netflix. It is a psychological, twisted thingy that takes you all around the mulberry bush. It's a really good limited series. Only 6 episodes. Give it a shot. I'll drink. It's really, 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 really good. It's really good. Okay.
So what do you have for us today?
I got Kool-Aid. Hey, guys. I don't want to get canceled, but here goes. So we can't call Mr. Potato Head Mr. anymore?
No. It's Potato Head.
Like, the Mr. is insensitive now. I'm all for equal rights. I'm all for every human being called whatever they would like to be called. Call me whatever you want as long as you don't call me late for dinner. However, I read a post from a friend, Coco, and it said it was about a guy who went into a Popeyes and he wanted a chicken sandwich without the bun. And the cashier at Popeyes told him the sandwich comes with the bun. What you do with it when you leave is up to you. That's how I feel about Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head is from my youth. So, I know him as Mr. Potato Head. I know his wife as Mrs. Potato Head. Doesn't change the fact that you feel what you feel about Mr. and Mr. I know for me, he's Mr. Potato Head. He came with a mustache, Mrs. Potato Head. She came with lips. She was in Toy Story. He was in Toy Story. So the fact that he's Mr. Potato Head is attached to a lot of people's memories and recollection in good ways. If you want to call the thing Potato Human, when you get home, what you do with Mr. Potato Head is none of my business. But I do not feel we should have this big debate back and forth, because what I feel is what I feel, what you feel is what you feel, but what you do is what matters. So don't cancel me because I call him Mr. Potato Head, because Mr. Potato Head was from my youth. That's all I got.
I totally feel you there. I don't really know how we got here.
Bingo.
I don't know what is offensive, because even to piggyback on that, Demi Lovato went on this whole rant about how we shouldn't have gender reveal parties because I guess the baby should be able to decide whatever gender it is. But if it's my baby, let me do what I want to do with my baby. That's not harming or hurting anybody else. And once the baby is born, if it's born a guy and it switches to be a girl, that doesn't negate the fact that it was born a guy and that I had this gender reveal party for a male. So whatever happens after the fact is after the fact. And just let people do, if it's not hurting anyone, if you're not bleeding,
Bingo.
dying, crying, like...
Bingo.
I just...
It's a groupthink thing that it bothers me. Like, we don't have the right to think for ourselves and what we want. It's no longer, it's cancel culture is one of those things that irks my soul, because it means we all have to think the same thing. Mm-hmm. And we all don't. We're all different. We're all unique. I love everybody. I'm here for everybody. Do what makes you happy as long as you don't hurt or are getting hurt.
Right.
But don't make me have to feel the same way you feel, because I don't. You don't feel the same thing. You might not like chocolate ice cream, and I love it. Does that mean we throw chocolate ice cream away? No, you just don't eat chocolate ice cream.
Yeah. And just like on the flip side of that, if you prefer to be referred to as they, I'll refer to you as they.
Taylor from Billions. She's probably one of my they are probably one of my favorite actors. I have no problem with whatever they want to be called, as long as they are on my screen on Sundays with Bobby Axelrod. Like, I'm cool. But it's the throwing away stuff to make everybody think one thing that is...
Because it's not going to make everybody else comfortable. So you're trying to make one group comfortable, but it's going to make another group uncomfortable. So you're never going to have that even playing field. So just, in my opinion, just leave it the way it is. And then when you get home, take out whatever parts you don't want to deal with. Just like when we come home, we take out the bun. Oh, well. It's so many burgers. I don't say no bun. I just move the burger off the bun.
She sure does.
I've got a question. Are street pharmacists wearing their masks when they move their prescriptions? I'm just curious because I don't know if they're like practicing social distancing when they are meeting with their clientele. Because when I drive around, I don't see them at, intersections anymore. So I'm just curious, like, are they pulling their mask out? I'm like, oh, no, only 2 in this alley at a time. Like, I'm very curious how that's going. So if you are of the street variety.
Don't comment down below. Because I'm not DJ Flat. And I'm not here for people incriminating themselves.
I sure was going to say comment down below.
Don't listen to her, sir.
So, I'm just curious.
If you've rolled past some street pharmaceutical activities, have you noticed them wearing that mask? Just say yes or no down below.
I'm just curious about that because I don't know if they're, because they don't care about their safety in some areas, so maybe they don't care about their safety in others. I just don't see anybody out anymore, so I'm just like,
Were you really great to the street pharmacist? The comment down below.
I was.
Oh yeah, short. I wear my mask, short. I'm out there with them things. I'm wearing my mask on the corner, short.
Because when you think of it, now is the perfect time. Remember when people used to wear the ski mask?
Hey, yo.
You don't wear the ski mask.
I can't.
Okay, don't wear the ski mask because that still scares me. And I see people, it could be cold outside and I see the camera. So,
Can't believe she's about to tell y'all, comment down below. Yeah, y'all know she's from East Side.
I'm so
East Side thing.
And I'm from the hood. And I'm just so not hood.
I was going to tell y'all, comment down below. I am flabbergasted.
We don't have a featured business this week.
Yeah.
So
if you're interested in boxes, we have some people that we are talking to and working with, but this week was one of those weeks. So
this was a busy week.
This was a very busy week. So we'll shout out. Let's shout out. We stick with the home team. Let's shout out XOXO Jordan and Lexis Photography again this week.
Oh, yeah.
They're our featured business again, so we'll leave their information below so y'all can double on back. She got some nice little bracelets and things on XOXO Jordan for y'all to look at, and Lexis Photography. It's wedding season.
Yeah, and also XOXO Jordan G is on Etsy now, so we'll put her store information down below.
Hey, my XOXO Jordan G bracelet. I'm for the culture. You hear me?
I'm for the streets. Pull your mask up, shorty.
She don't even know it. If it's up, then it's stuck. Listen, this is a good episode.
That ain't the baby. That's my baby.
I really like that song. If it's up, then it's stuck. But don't judge me. Go, Cardi.
If it's up, then it's up. Then it's up. Then it's stuck.
That'd be it, bro. Like anyway.
I just like when it's certain things that Cardi says that I really like. When she's like, better than the karate chop. I like that part. And my very favorite Cardi line ever. Ding dong!
Yo, Cardi's the GOAT. Cardi is the GOAT.
You cannot knock. Certain people have just certain things that just tickle me. Even going back with Tekashi, who's looking for the 6ix9ine, his snitch when he was like you know that when he was the mouse.
You mad? Yeah.
It was a visually striking video to me.
If it was.
It was so. It's just certain things I like about certain.
I just hope they don't catch that boy in the streets because he got them. Then he got them boys some numbers. Like they doing like jail time.
Yeah,
they ain't doing no year two.
See, this is why I stay in my own little bubble. Yeah. You know, people be like, you want to? I be like, see right here.
I'm as a civilian. This ain't for me. I mean, when I was younger, I wore black Air Force Ones, but that didn't mean nothing. I'm as a civilian. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This was fun. I had fun.
This was very fun.
So, I'm Ant.
And I'm Beyonce. And thanks for stopping by to talk some shit with us today. Bye.